This demo is going to just discuss how to ink your plexiglass in preparation for etching on the printing press. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to take some brown paper that's on the roll and just cut yourself a large enough piece that it is protecting your desk area. So this process gets pretty messy, so you want to just have the paper down before you begin so that cleanup is easy. You also are going to want to grab an apron. Okay, so I'm going to put this on, and I'm also going to put on a pair of these blue nitrile gloves. You may have to change gloves as you're handling your paper or as you're switching. If you can reuse these same gloves for a few different prints, that's really great. So I've got myself and my working area prepared. The next thing I want to do is just feel and make sure that the etching side is up, facing up. Nothing good will happen if you're trying to spread ink onto a smooth surface. So make sure that the back side and the front side are distinct. And then you're going to take a hair dryer, and you're actually just going to warm up this plexiglass. And the reason we'll do this is it's going to make spreading the ink on here a whole lot easier. So just make sure you never touch the nozzle straight to the glass. You want to hold it an inch or two away and just give some even heat. Then you'll need the etching ink. You will need a little piece of lino as a sort of squeegee or a spreader, a popsicle stick or two, and then a few bundles of this cheesecloth. So the ink is shared between the entire class, and it is an oil-based ink, and you really don't need very much of that ink. So when you come over to the ink container, you're just going to need to take a small sort of frozen pea-sized bit to begin, and then you're going to take that to your plate and kind of dab that on, focusing on any areas where you know there's a fair bit of etched or scratched imagery. So I have less in the background, but I'm just going to sort of give it a light little bit, okay, all throughout, and then this can be set aside. Next, you're going to take the squeegee and just start to use that to spread out that ink, going from those small dots to now covering all the way to the edges. I'm using quite a bit of pressure and just trying to spread that around as much as we can. Sometimes you may need to add more ink, and if that's the case, that's absolutely fine. But it's better, you can even try to use up the ink that's left on this edge. Better to have not quite enough, and then you need to just give yourself a little bit more than to kind of have too much. That's a really common mistake with etching ink, is that we get too much ink at this stage, and then it's really difficult and frustrating to wipe it clean. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about how that's looking. So you can drag it across in both directions. Okay. Set it aside, and then just taking your cheesecloth, kind of folding it up or balling it up on itself so you have a nice sort of smooth surface that's grabbable. You're going to now work the ink further into those grooves and simultaneously start wiping away. So I do this in circular motions, more or less. And that first wipe is going to give a bit of a messier, grungier look. Okay, that's also fine. That's part of the purpose. looking at how much ink has come up on the cheesecloth, but I'm going to use up as much of this as I can before I move to a new piece. So I'm just going to fold it back in on itself and keep going. Kind of gets easier as you're going along. Okay. Then it sometimes is worth just trying to wipe at the fingers of your gloves, wipe away excess. Notice how dirty the paper has already become. So I'm going to grab one additional clean piece, and this will be my final wipe. Just going right to the edges. Sometimes it helps to move the plate to a cleaner area at this point, as well as to really clean up all 4 edges of the plate, flipping it over and making sure nothing from here got stuck to the back, which I did have a small little area. And when you're holding up your plate and you're looking, you're just making sure that the ink has gone where you want it to and that it's been wiped away or removed adequately from anywhere that you didn't want it to go. Okay? One last step. So the ink will sit in there. Don't worry, it's not going to dry out very quickly because this is, again, an oil-based printing ink. So now you're going to just leave, I'm going to leave this over here in a cleaner area. Hard to come by. And then I might need to take a glove off or take both of my gloves off so that when I'm handling my paper that I've prepared to size and with the registration marks, the paper is going to actually need to be damp. So to do that, I can head over to a water bath. And it's not a long bit of time in the water. It's just enough to get that paper damp. Pull it out, okay, carrying it by the corner in one hand and carrying your etching plate in the other hand. And from here, we take these 2 friends and we head over to the printing press.